Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Judith. Today I'm going to do something a little bit fancier. We're going to make chicken cordon bleu. First thing we need, I have 2 chicken breasts and we are going to pound them out flat. But for the stuffing, lovely ham and some Swiss cheese. Unfortunately, I forgot to buy a block of Swiss cheese for this because you would want a nice even chunk. So I have some sandwich slices, which will work. We're just going to cut them in a specific way. And then, of course, egg, breadcrumbs, and flour for the coating. So let's get started here. What I'm going to do is butterfly my chicken breasts a little bit. And just the knife in the thickest part. And slice inward. Whoops. Didn't get a very good one on that try. But we are going to pound them down, so that'll be okay. Just get your knife in at the thickest part of the chicken breast. There we go. And you don't have to cut, in fact, you don't want to cut all the way through. There, okay. So to pound them out, get a resealable freezer bag. A lot of people say to do it in 2 layers of like plastic wrap, but plastic wrap's very thin and it's gonna tear and you're only gonna manage to get 1 of the chicken breasts done. So let me move this aside because I don't want to pound on my board. I'm gonna pound here on the counter and turn it so you have the non-cut side. You want to be pounding on the non-cut side. Alright, now that you have them pounded out, and about 1/4 of an inch or a little less thick, so that's the side you pounded, that's the cut, or the non-cut side. We're going to flip them, so it's the cut side up. We're going to take our lovely ham and lay slices of it in on the chicken. I'm going to do about 3 slices per chicken breast. Just make sure there's no holes because you don't want the cheese all escaping. And I'm going to take my Swiss cheese, so where you can see it. And I'm going to cut it, and I have, how many slices do I have there? I have 4 slices. So I'm going to cut it about 1 centimeter or a little less in width. And then next one, we're going to do a little thinner and we're going to stack. Put the rest of that aside. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to seal our Swiss cheese within the ham, like so. And we're going to position it so we can actually wrap the chicken around it. Ends first. Oop. Well, it's going to have a hole in it. You just have to try carefully to seal it up. So we want to make sure our chicken comes together like so. So we want to try and get this sealed well enough that our cheese isn't going to all leak out. course, you can expect to lose some cheese, so it's not going to be the end of the world. There we go. Let's get our coating ready. You can do this ahead of time. In fact, it is best that you do it a little bit ahead of time because you want time for the coating to dry a little so that it stays firm when you cook it and doesn't just all pull away and drop off. So our first step is coat your chicken in the flour. And then into the egg. If you get your fingers too much into the flour and the egg and the breadcrumbs, you're going to end up with balls of breading on your hands. But sometimes that's the only way to do it. Oops. And then chicken into the breadcrumbs. I squeezed some of the egg in there, but that's okay. And just being careful to keep the underside where the seam is together. And if you do it ahead of time and refrigerate your chicken, the chance of the seam pulling apart while you're cooking it are much less. So then just put that onto a plate. And because I did scooch some of the breadcrumbs on there, I'm going to need more. So once we have them all put together and breaded, I'm just going to cover them with some plastic wrap and put them in the fridge until it's time to cook them. So now it's time to cook our chicken cordon bleu. But first I want to give you a little bit of history. Everyone thinks cordon bleu, or chicken cordon bleu, is an old recipe. It's not. The original cordon bleu was made with schnitzel, which is veal, and it was from Switzerland and was in the 1940s. Chicken cordon bleu arrived on the scene in New York in the 1960s. So this is not an old recipe. Although it is still a wonderful recipe. But the history of cordon bleu refers to knights that won the highest honor, and they got a blue ribbon. And that eventually transformed into a cooking thing because apparently cooks in France wore aprons with blue ribbons to tie them together. It's very, very interesting. And I am amazed that this is actually a fairly recent recipe. Let's get to cooking it. Right, so you want your pan at medium heat. And a good way to check is, hold your hand over it. You don't want to touch it. You don't want to burn yourself. And pour in a couple of tablespoons of oil, and neutral oil. You don't want to use olive oil, which can have a very strong flavor. And we're not going to deep fry this, so we want to keep it shallow. And then we're going to put it with the folded side down, the side that is where the seams meet. It's going to go down first. Cook this, adding more oil as needed, because the breadcrumbs will soak up oil. And being as my stove is tilted a little bit to the back, I have to keep adjusting and turning the pan to make sure everything has some oil. And so we need to be very, very careful when turning these, because we will have to turn them. So make sure you have a spatula and a spoon, a big wooden spoon or another spatula or something, where you can grip them and turn them without you know, separating that seam at the bottom. So let's give that a few minutes to fry. And in the meantime, I am going to turn on my oven because I have chosen to make Duchess potatoes to go with. You can serve these with regular mashed potatoes, but Duchess potatoes are so pretty. And they're not that different. Just mashed potatoes with a couple extra ingredients and then made toasty crispy. Okay, we're going to try to give it a bit of a turn without disturbing it. Oh, and that looks just beautiful. And let that side cook, and we'll turn it some more. Okay, honestly, it does not take the chicken very long to cook, but if you're unsure about the bony bits, which I always have trouble with those, and turning them up, you can see that does not look cooked. If you're unsure about it, you can put, assuming you've cooked your cordon bleu in an oven-proof pan, you can put it in the oven just long enough to make sure all those bits are cooked. Because I see this is not really brown, this is not really brown, and I'm not happy with that. So let's see what I can do. This is chicken cordon bleu with some Duchess potatoes. So give me a second and let me cut into that so you can see what it's like on the inside. So I've cut my chicken cordon bleu in half, and you can see the Swiss cheese oozing out and the ham in there and the chicken wrapping it all, and it is going to be absolutely delicious. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon with a new video.